Welcome to the Childcare Genius Podcast, the world's leading authority on childcare marketing, mindset, expansion, and profitability. Each episode will feature interviews with the brightest minds in the childcare industry to guide you into becoming a smarter business leader. Our hosts have opened 10 schools while raising 5 children. They are certified business coaches and are the top-selling childcare business book authors of all time. This episode is sponsored by Childcare Genius Marketing. Let Childcare Genius Marketing help you get fully enrolled and fully staffed. Visit childcaregenius.com for more details. Let's welcome to the Childcare Genius Podcast our hosts, Brian and Carol Dupre.
Hello, welcome to the Childcare Genius Podcast.
We're your hosts, Brian and Carol Dupre.
Welcome, everybody. We hope you're having had a happy new year. Well, happy 2025 to everybody out there. Can't believe it's 2025 already. Time just absolutely flies. The older we get, the faster it goes. I remember my parents telling me that. I was like, how does that work? That doesn't seem mathematically possible. But they were right. Mm-hmm. And anyway, we got a great episode lined up for you today. We have one of our coaching clients who we were last month in Illinois visiting, Chelle Cooper, and her husband, Kevin, have 2 schools in Illinois and are very successful, doing really well. They have a unique story of how they got in the business. And I can't wait to share that with everybody. Just before we get started, just a reminder that tickets are still on sale for our Childcare Genius Live Conference. Right now, you can go on there, and I think we have $100 off tickets. Right now, you can get a $100 off ticket, and that expires soon. So childcaregenius.com, go to the conference tab and hit CCG Live, and go ahead and get those tickets today. But anyway, let's get back to the episode.
Let's get Chelle on the line. Hi, Chelle. Welcome to the Childcare Genius Podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Hello. Good to see you again. Been a whole couple weeks since we've seen each other live.
Right.
We enjoyed visiting your schools. About a month ago, we were out there in Illinois visiting your schools. How are things going?
Yeah. Good. I've been, busy implementing a lot of stuff that you guys suggested, and a lot of stuff actually even just from the conference. So I've been really busy.
Awesome. Well, when we visited you, I'm like, this would be a great couple to have on our podcast. And unfortunately, your husband couldn't join us today, but you do work as a couple in the business. But we got you, and we're happy to have you.
Well, good. So, I'm happy to be here.
Well, we'd love that. But you have a pretty interesting story of what you did before childcare, and first person I've ever met in this industry. But tell our audience a little bit about what you and your husband did. His name is Kevin, and what you did before you got in the childcare business, and maybe the story of how you did get into childcare would be great.
Okay. So Kevin actually was in sales for 25 years. So he has a long history, but what a lot of people don't know about him is that he has a finance degree, which I think is really useful, in this industry. I was a human resource consultant for a large international company. We actually worked at the same company. That's how we met, was at work.
Wow.
Yeah. So my story on getting into childcare is really unconventional, honestly. I was pregnant, and at 23 weeks, my water broke. And just kind of scared, like I didn't really know what was going to happen. I was in the hospital for 4 weeks. And I kind of knew what was going to happen. What the potential was. So from my hospital bed, I actually quit my job, and I did all the licensing paperwork to have a home daycare. I was up and running before she came home from the hospital. So I did that the month that I was in the hospital from the bed. At 27 weeks, I got really sick and had to have an emergency C-section. So she came really early. She was 2 pounds, and She was in the hospital for 13 weeks. So that whole time that she was in the hospital, I just worked to get licensed. And when I brought her home, I had an in-home daycare. So, and I did that 8 years. Yeah, I did that 8 years. And then I decided it's time, like, I need to go to work. I loved work. I loved kids. I loved business. So I thought, let me just take a crack at a childcare center. And that's how it started.
You know what's
Awesome.
funny is how one incident in your life can totally change the trajectory of the rest of your life.
Yes. I
I
tell
mean,
everybody that that was the absolute worst 90 days of my entire life.
I bet.
Horrible. But from that came one of the best things in my life. So
Yep.
I think just keeping a positive mindset and keeping your mind busy on moving forward, even though you feel like your time is stopping, is really how I got through that.
And
Mhm.
that's a good lesson, Shelley, right? Because
Mhm.
in life, everything's not going to be perfect. But if you look back, and I was just reading this the other day, it's the tragedies in your life, it's the struggles that make the victories so much more sweeter. And usually when you hit that fork in the road and you go in one direction, it totally changes the rest, like Back to the Future almost. You change the future outcome.
Yes.
And usually you're more successful on the other side because of the struggle you went through.
Mhm. I agree. And, every struggle comes growth. I mean, and confidence, because you get so much confidence in yourself by getting through those tough times. It changes everything.
For sure.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about your schools and why they're unique or why it's unique?
Sure. So I have two schools. They're super close to each other and they're, I would say, very different. The smaller one is unique in that it's a kind of a family feel. It only has 22 kids in it. And it's an open concept. So that's kind of unique. And parents are a little bit more drawn to that, I think, because it has a homey feel. But my larger one is still unique in that we have smaller ratios. We're both schools are Reggio-inspired schools, which there aren't that many around here, like in the vicinity. Um, it's family owned, so I'm very involved. I think I one of the biggest things that comes through is that I truly do care about the families and my employees. So I think that comes through in everything that I do, which really results in a lot of word of mouth and talk on Facebook and things like that, which has really helped us as a business.
Mm.
For sure. And I know some people are listening to like 22 children. How could you do that? And I can promise the listeners this is a profitable school that's done really well. It's excellent tuition rates, and some people get into a paradigm where they never would think outside that box, and that would never be possible. But
Mhm.
you saw an opportunity, like the one client I have that doesn't do preschools, does infants and toddlers, and is very profitable doing it. So
Yeah.
sometimes you look at an out of the box solution, and if you're
Mhm.
paradigmed into a certain way of thinking, you're never going to be open to an opportunity that could be. And you saw
Mhm.
something there,
Right.
and the numbers, back yourself up. You're doing really well there.
Yeah. And I think, there's a lot of potential there. And you're helping me with that. I think that that center can definitely be profitable. Um, there's just some little tweaks that I need to make.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that's what everybody's business, we could always do better. So
Right.
when you're opening up or your home daycare or opening up your schools, I'm sure you faced some obstacles and challenges. I mean, you were
Mhm.
going through health challenges and your child was going through health issues. But what obstacles did you face dealing with the state or dealing with, landlords? Did you have some obstacles and challenges?
Mhm. Yes, many, many, many. I think that the biggest challenges for me, honestly, were my lack of knowledge of just the ECE industry in general, and just lack of knowledge of being a business owner. I had not done either of those before, and I was smart enough to know that I needed help. So I invested in coaching from the beginning. It just made sense for me. And it did help me through a lot of challenges. I had my first center was delayed. I had to fire my contractor. It took a year longer than I thought to open it. And it was kind of a scary time because we had to finish some work ourselves. We had to cash in stock. We cashed in some retirement. I mean, we put it all on the line. And I just thank God for Kevin. I mean, honestly, because he goes along with my crazy ideas a lot. You know, but he believed in me, and thank goodness he did, because he did float that. We lived on one income, and for a little while we were paying to have these schools, because I opened my first school June of 2019. And then 8 months later, I signed a lease for my second school. And then 3 weeks later, COVID hit and we got shut down.
Mm.
So it was a scary time. There were a lot of obstacles. During that time with COVID, I was renovating the new school and a car drove through the side of the building into a classroom.
Mm.
So that was another thing. But like I said before, those challenges have honestly made me tougher, and made me believe in myself more, easier to take risks. My thing is kind of like, what's the worst thing that can happen? Like, if nobody's going to die, we can do it, right?
You sound like
So
Carol.
there are a lot of obstacles, but I mean, I wouldn't change any of it.
And I love how you said, Kevin believed in me, and you're a good salesperson. You sold him to your vision. And that's the secret. You guys have shared vision because you've done a good job selling it to him, and he believes in you.
Yeah.
Like Carol's always believed in me, and I've always believed in her. So as long as we're on the same, we're cheerleaders for each other, and as long as you
Right.
have that, you can accomplish anything
Yeah,
for sure.
definitely.
So you
Definitely.
said you had coaching from the beginning. How has coaching helped you grow your business?
Gosh. Honestly, I needed somebody. I'm a doer. So I needed somebody to tell me, do this, 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 and this. And I just did everything I was told. I think had I not had a coach, it kind of would have been like me walking through the dark, just feeling my way through things. I know that a lot of people probably look at the price tag of a coach and think, I can't afford that. But the reality is a coach costs maybe 2 enrollments. So if you can get 2 enrollments out of that, even if you can get one, everything else is going to pay for itself, and you're going to save thousands of dollars in the long run. So, but I'm also kind of a professional development ninja. Like my whole adult life, I have just been obsessed with professional development. So I've always had something like that. And that's honestly what I wish for everybody in this world, is to take on something, always doing something to grow yourself. But yeah, I mean, it's made everything. Coaching is probably 90% of the reason why I'm successful, honestly.
I appreciate that. I mean, you and
Right.
I coach you, Carol does too, and we've been to your schools. You're one of our Dynasty VIP people. So at that level, we have a site visit. So we spent a whole day with you and your husband at your schools, touring them, looking for blind spots, finding out struggles.
Mhm.
And was that site visit worth it?
Absolutely. Honestly, the site visit was probably just worth the whole amount, to be honest, and nothing else. But uh, that's actually the thing that drew me to your coaching, was the individual coaching, because there's a lot of coaching out there that's group. And that was really good when I started off, because I didn't know anything. But now I need somebody that looks at my business. I don't need to know what daycare businesses do. I need to know what I should do in my business. So that is the one thing that makes you guys unique, is the site visits and then the individual coaching. It's amazing, honestly.
Do that. Where do you see yourself 3 years from now? What are some of your long-term goals?
So I definitely want to have another center, um, and start building a real estate portfolio. I definitely see that we need to do that, because, like I said, we cashed in retirement, so we need to start really thinking that way. So 3 years from now, I definitely want to have another center. Hopefully we have that in the next year or so. Um, just kind of looking for places, trying to find the right thing. And then I'd like to have at least one property in the next 3 years.
Good goals.
Mhm.
Love that. You're thinking long term, so you're young.
Yeah,
That's a good way to think.
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
You attended our CCG Leverage Conference in Jamaica this year. What did you get out of that conference?
I don't think we have enough time. I have pages and pages of notes, honestly, pages and pages, of things that I want to implement. But I think the one thing that stood out about this conference is how you guys had it broken down. I loved how each day was something like one focus. So like you had mindset, systems, culture, finances. That is really great. And it just really helped with the balance. Like, so you're not focusing on just one thing. You have to focus on everything, to make it run smoothly. So I thought it was great. And I also love the location. And I also love the ending at 1 o'clock. Because I have come home from conferences and felt so overwhelmed and just like, okay, now what? Like I've got 100 pages of notes. This is not realistic, so it gave us time to like digest and think about how we're actually going to implement it, when we get home.
100% love that. Yeah, 1 o'clock day, and then heading out in the pool and hanging out with the coaches in the pool. That's always a good thing. And you get a drink in your hand, relax, hang out in the pool. It seems like the best learning happens 3 to 4 in the pool every day, right?
And getting to know other owners.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Relationships are important. So you work with your spouse every day, just like Carol and I, 24/7. We're always together. You guys are pretty much always together as well. And what are some of your secrets to working together as a couple without killing each other? What's the secret? Because people want to know.
We don't have any secrets. We need other people's secrets. We're so new to this. It's only been a year. But honestly, probably the biggest thing that saved us is that we rarely see each other at work. Because there's 2 locations. He's always at one. I am at that location sometimes, but we don't share an office. We don't really cross paths that much. I am trying to get him drawn in a little more, on the finances and all of that. So we are working together on that. But from my perspective, it's been great. Like I wanted to work with Kevin for a long time. He's a little bit like more apprehensive. I can be a lot. I mean, so he's getting used to it.
You're a handful, is that what you're telling me?
I mean, I can be. I try not to be, but sometimes I talk like he has been in the field as long as I have been, which isn't that long, honestly, only like 6 years. So sometimes I think I expect him to know what I'm talking about, and he's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So,
yeah, we see that a lot with guys or ladies that join later. It's one speaks childcare, the other one doesn't know the language, so you kind of miss.
Yeah. So I'm trying to be patient and just, slow down so that I can help him learn everything.
When the fog of the business and in the you become an empty nest and the kids are gone and it's just you two, having this time working together will be such a key to long-term retirement, happiness, living together. It's just because we're always together and now we're empty nesters, and that's a lot of fun. I will tell you that, Shelley. So we're at the point now where we know each other so well, and we have so much fun.
Yeah.
I could chase Carol around the house. We got a big house. I chase her around the house, and we just have so much fun with no kids around. It's great, and I don't have to put
sound
pants
like Kevin. Sound like Kevin. But actually, that's actually another good point to bring up about the coaching is that you guys do talk about personal lives and marriage and working together. That's a really great thing too.
You're right. Because if the marriage doesn't survive, a lot of times the child care doesn't survive with it. We've seen that happen before. So if the marriage is good, the family is good, child care is good, it all goes hand in hand. It's catch 22. So we coach to the whole person, everything, relationship, we coach everything. And Carol and I were in marriage ministry for years, so it's naturally that we want to work to improve relationships without preaching, mind you, but we teach really good strategies to work together as a couple, if that's your thing. And we love it.
If you had it to do all over again, what, if anything, would you do differently?
I wouldn't change anything, honestly, because all the hard things, it's all part of who I am. So I wouldn't change anything. But if I did have a wish, it would be that Kevin came on sooner. Like if he would have just come on from the beginning, I feel like we would have been unstoppable. Like I would be twice as far as I am now if he was there from the beginning.
Oh, he's going to be listening to this and just gushing with love for you, Shelley. I could just see him now crying, probably tears coming down his eyes. Like, I
If I have
love
to
her
butter
so
him up
much.
before Christmas, right? I want to get some good presents.
Oh, yeah. This episode's airing in January, and we're
Ah,
recording this before Christmas. So you'll already have had Christmas by the time he listens
oh
to this.
wow.
So
We'll
just
work on
letting
Valentine's Day then.
Yeah.
you tell him you deserve it, right? I'll tell
Yeah.
him, Kevin, she deserves
Yeah.
it. Anyway, thank you so much for coming on to podcast, sharing our story with our followers and our listeners. And you have a unique story. Love how you got into the business. Love what you're doing with your schools, and I see big things in years to come. It's our pleasure to coach you, and thank you for sharing your story with our followers.
Yeah, thank you so much. I enjoyed it.
Have a good rest of your day. Bye bye.
You too.
Good episode.
Very good episode.
Yeah, she's so nice.
Yeah,
And sweet, great school, and what a great story.
absolutely.
It's amazing.
It's amazing how many different stories you get about how people started their centers and why.
And how sometimes a medical thing changes your whole life.
Yeah.
Like our daughter, she had her appendix rupture, and she wanted to be a doctor until she had to spend 3 weeks in the hospital and never saw a doctor. She only saw nurses. I'm like, why do I want to be a doctor? Like, they don't help people.
But she just she wanted to work with people.
Yeah.
And she said the doctors don't see the people.
They come in 5 minutes and leave. Like, they didn't
Yeah.
have a connection. So it changed her whole life. She went into early childhood, and now she works for us. So it's amazing how one thing in your life can totally change the trajectory of your life going forward. Now, her daughter being born early changed her whole life.
Yeah.
She would be right now doing HR for a company. There
Right.
you go. All right. Well, anyway, this concludes this episode of the Childcare Genius podcast. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy life to spend a little time with us.
And don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you won't miss a future episode of the Childcare Genius podcast. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Childcare Genius podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please do us a favor and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a future episode. Don't forget to visit our website at childcaregenius.com to see a list of services we offer to help grow your childcare business. Until next time, thank you for being a part of the Childcare Genius community.